everyone, and welcome back. It's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today we are going to be making this floral pendant with some 2-hole dagger beads, some mini daggers, half Tilas, 2mm round beads, 11-0 Delicas, and some 15-0s. As many of you know, I recently helped curate a box with beading school called Cherry Blossom Festival, and this is the first of several tutorials I have planned that incorporate things that came directly from the box. You can also pick up all of these items separately, but I'll leave links to the box down below, as well as the full list of items and quantities. And Beading School is also releasing for sale various colors of this gauzy, colorful silk cord or ribbon, which is fantastic for using with beaded pendants and very easy to just tie in a bow right in the back, which also means you can adjust the length to whatever you like. After we make the pendant, I'll show you how you can whip up that peyote stitch bail, and we'll put everything together. For now, you can go ahead and thread your beading needle with a comfortable length of beading thread. I'll be using the 6-pound test Fireline today in a size 11 beading needle. And once you've done that and gathered up your materials, we can jump into this tutorial. The first step for us in this project is to bezel the 8mm Rivoli stone that we have here, and we're going to do that with 24 of our Miyuki 11-0 Delica beads. So you can begin by stringing on 24 of those and bringing those down to your tail thread, leaving yourself about a 4 to 6 inch tail that you can weave back in later. Alright, so double check that you have 24 beads on your thread, and then take your working thread and just proceed through that first Delica once again. And that will start to form these into a circle. And then we're going to continue with peyote stitch. We're going to do 2 additional rows in peyote using the same Delica beads. So as usual, we're going to pick up a Delica, skip the next one, and then sew through the next. And by the way, you're welcome to add a stop bead if you'd like to. Some people are more comfortable using those. Otherwise, just hold your forefinger and your thumb on that beginning portion. And as you go, this will start to tighten up, and you can take your needle, pop that on your tail thread at any time, and weave that back in. So as you can see, I'm just continuing all around the loop as usual, picking up a bead, skipping the next, and we end up getting this alternating pattern of 2 1 2 1, as you can see, with these beads beginning to stack up in every other row. So continue doing that all the way around this row. And then when you've reached the beginning again, you'll step up. So you'll go through the next bead as usual, but then go up through the next bead that is stacked on top. And then you can continue your peyote stitch going around and completing one more row with these beads. And then just like you did before, when you get to your next row, I just popped in a bead and went through the next bead, and now I'm just going to step up through the next bead that is sticking up. And we're going to continue doing 2 more rows of peyote, but this time with our 15-0 seed beads. All right, so we can pick back up here with our 15-0s and complete 2 rows of these, and these are going to start to bring that bezel inward a little bit and make it a little bit tighter, and that's going to sit around the front of the stone. So keep going, add 2 more rows, and then we will meet back. So this is what you should have so far, and right now I'm going to pop a needle on my tail thread and weave that back in to get it out of the way. And I'm also going to go around that ring of 15 O's one more time just to tighten that up. And once we've done that, we can follow our thread path, weaving back and forth through the piece, and have our needle coming out of the other side. Let's begin working on that, and then we'll meet back. All right, so I'm going to just weave through these beads so I can get to my other side. Come out of that one that's sticking up. And now we can start popping in 15 O's on this side. We're going to also complete 2 rows and close that around the back of the stone. For this first row, we can just go ahead without the stone and continue with peyote, picking up a bead, going through the next one that is sticking up, and so on. So complete 1 row, and then you can start thinking about popping in that stone. All right, now with 1 row done, I'm going to place the stone in the center of our bezel with the bottom facing up. And let's continue on with 1 more row, and we'll tighten this up around the back of the crystal. And then we can step up, and you can continue going through that ring of 15 O's around the back, tightening that up as you go to reinforce those beads in place and make sure that crystal doesn't slip out. All right, and at this point, we're gonna work with some more Delicas and also our mini daggers and our half Tilas. Now I'm coming out of one of these 15 O's right over here, and I'm just gonna weave through the Delicas a tiny bit, following the thread path to where I am coming out of one of the Delica beads, second one from the very bottommost row. So right there, that's where you wanna be coming out for the next step. And we're going to be picking up a Delica and then looking forward to the next one in that line. So not this one over to the left or to the right, but straight ahead. And we're going to pop in another Delica. And these are going to stick out a little bit all the way around the bezel so that we can pop in some of our other beads. But keep doing that. So we'll pick up a Delica, look forward, and go through the next Delica in that row, all the way around the piece. All right, so you should have something like this, and once you've added that last Delica in place, you can then step up and go through the next one there that is sticking out. And in an alternating pattern, we're going to be adding in 1 mini dagger and 1 half Tila in between each of these Delicas. And I can actually flip that over at this point. You can see that pretty crystal in there. And let's just go ahead and start with a mini dagger. We'll go through the next Delica bead, now a half Tila, through the next Delica bead, and repeat that all the way around. And we're on our last half Tila, and we're going to go through the Delica, the Dagger, the next Delica, and the half Tila. Pull this nice and tight, and then go up through the open hole of that same half Tila so that we can step up. Now we're going to bring out our 2-hole dagger beads and start incorporating those into the design. All right, so now we can pick up one of our 2-hole daggers, just go up through that top hole to start out with. Pick up a 2mm and another 2-hole dagger up at the very top. And then you'll go through the next half Tila, and these are going to sit underneath that little mini dagger right there. And repeat that all the way around. So once again, through the topmost hole, we're going to go through a dagger, a 2mm, and another dagger. And then sew through the next open hole of the half Tila that we get to. And just pop those beads in right underneath that little dagger. So keep doing that all the way around, and then we will meet back and continue on with the next step. When you get to the last dagger bead section, you can go ahead through that half Tila, but also sew around through that entire ring of beads one more time just to tighten this all up and to give this ring a little bit more reinforcement before we move on. And once you've done that, come out of one of your large daggers, and this is where we're going to step up. I'm going back through the second hole that is the outer hole that we hadn't gone through yet. And in these sections where you already have a 2mm right there in between, you're going to go ahead and add another 2mm in between the 2 daggers, going through that next set of holes. And then in that next section where you see the half Tila, that's where you're going to pick up a mini dagger, a 15-0, and a mini dagger. And those are going to go in that next section. And we'll go through the next hole of the dagger that comes up next. And continue to alternate that all the way around. So another 2mm in that section, and then a mini dagger, a 15-0, and a mini dagger in the next. Keep doing that all the way around, and then go around that ring again at least one more time to reinforce it, and then we'll meet back and continue on with the next step. All right, so I'm on my last section, adding in my dagger, 15-0, and dagger, and I'm going to sew through so that I'm coming out of the dagger bead that is at the beginning of the next mini dagger section. And what we're going to do, and you can flip your piece over if you want, is we're going to add in 3 Delica beads behind each of those mini dagger sections. That's going to help keep those mini daggers propped up a little bit so they're not swinging around as much. So we'll pick up 3 Delicas, and then we will sew through the next 2-hole dagger, the next 2mm, and the next 2-hole dagger. And repeat that all the way around. So once again, 3 Delicas, and then put them behind the mini dagger section and follow your thread path to the next one. And just make sure those are sitting towards the back. So keep doing that all the way around, and then we will meet back for the next step. All right, once we get to our last section and we add those 3 Delicas in, keep going and go through that ring of beads one more time just to tighten all of those up. And once you've done that, then flip your piece back over and come out of one of these mini daggers. And then skip the 15-0 and go through the next mini dagger. Keep on going until you come out of the following mini dagger. So basically we're just skipping all the 15-0s as we go around in this next section and just tightening those up on the top of the Delicas. And once you've done that all the way around, you have pretty much finished this floral portion. You can then go ahead and make a few half-hitch knots and hide your thread through the beads. I'll make one right here in the corner. And then continue to sew through a few more. I'll make another one right there. And maybe one more right there. All right, so that's that. I'm gonna leave the remaining thread I have intact in case I wanna use that for attaching it to our bail. But in the meantime, you can set this aside and get yourself another length of beading thread that you're comfortable with, thread another needle, and get out some more of your Delicas and 15-0s. And once you've done that, we can start making our bail. All right, so this is a very simple bail to make. It's just a ring of even count peyote stitch. And you can make this as thick or as thin as you want. I'll just go ahead and make mine the same as the example, which was 10 beads wide. With the even count peyote stitch, it's a little bit easier to add on additional rows without the little extra turnaround step. So I figured we'd just keep it very simple with rows of 10. And to start out, we're actually going to string on 11 beads because the 11th one is going to end up as part of the next row. So go ahead and pick up 11 of your Delicas. And pull those down and leave yourself a 4 to 6 inch tail thread. And again, feel free to use a stop bead here if you're more comfortable with that. And we're going to take our needle and we're going to go down through the third from the last bead and pull. And you can see that now we've got these 2 Delica beads sitting side by side, and we're coming out of this one. Now we're going to pick up another Delica, skip the next one, and go through the next. And now we have 2 side by side right there. And we'll repeat that all the way down, pick up another Delica, skip that next one, and sew down through the next. And when you slide that all up together and pull your thread, you can see we're creating this alternating pattern just like that. Pick up a Delica, skip the next, and sew through the next one. This is one of those stitches that really gets a lot easier as you go, as you have more to hang on to. So just bear with yourself if you're having a little bit of a struggle getting this started. Just take your time and don't be afraid to mess up and have to start over. Pulling all that together now, this is what we have so far, and we have an easy template to follow now with the beads that are sticking out and the ones that are indented. Every space that we have an indent, that's where we're going to add another bead. This time we're going to be sewing up through the beads. We can pick one up and go through the next one that's sticking out. Pick up a bead, sew through the next one that's sticking out, and continue to repeat that all the way up. We'll do one more row together. So I'm going to pick up a Delica. This time we're going to sew down through the next bead. Pick up a Delica, sew down through the one that's sticking out. All the way down. And the next row you'll be sewing up the beadwork, popping in additional beads, and keep going until you have a length that is long enough to where you can roll it into a tube that will accommodate your cord or your ribbon. It'll probably end up being about an inch in length, but after I get about to that point, we'll meet back. I'll show you what I have before we end up sewing it together and get more of an exact measurement. All right, so this is about the length that you want, and this is approximately 23 millimeters and a little less than an inch. And the main thing is you want to make sure that you end on a row where the beads are positioned opposite to the first one, because when we roll this together, we need the beads to zip together and fit into those spots so that this ring of beads is seamless. Before we do that, we can embellish the sides just a little bit with some of our 15-0s. Coming up out of this Delica right here, I'm going to pick up 3, and then I'm going to go down through the next Delica, and then return up through the next. Pick up 3 more, and just do that all the way down the row. So I'm going to go down through the next Delica, and up through the next one. So keep doing that to the end of this row. And then you can follow your thread path to head down to the other side. Come out where my tail thread is located. And we're going to do the same thing on this side, picking up 3 seed beads, going down through the next Delica, up through the next, picking up 3 more seed beads, and so on. There we go. And we can come up out of this next Delica. And let's start bringing these two ends together. And my working thread is coming out of this Delica right here. And I'm going to pick up two 15-0s. And I'm going to go down the 15-0 and the first Delica in that next section that's at the beginning. We're going to start zipping this together. So we'll pull this, and it'll move towards the other side. Then I'm going to go up the Delica that's on the right-hand side one more time to bring those two together, and just go down the Delica. Then I'm going to go down the Delica that's sticking out on the left, down the one that's sticking out on the right, and continue going down through those alternating through the ones that are sticking out, bringing this together, and it is going to look seamless. All right, so our Delicas are woven together. Let's just finish off this top section. I'll pick up two more 15-0s at this point, go down through the next 15-0 in Delica, and then up through the Delica again, and down through the one on the left. So we have our loop in place, and it should look something like that. And now you can weave your working thread and your tail thread into the beadwork and trim it off when you're satisfied, making sure that everything is secure. And at that point, we can meet back and start putting this all together. All right, so I still have my working thread attached to the floral part, and I'm just going to sew over a little bit and come out of the central Delica in that group of 3 right there. And then I'm going to pick up 2 of my 15-0s and sew back through that central Delica. Then sew up through the 15-0 on the left, just like that. And we're going to just do some simple herringbone stitch to attach this to our peyote loop. So let's pick up 2 more 15-0s, go down the 15-0 on the right, and up through the 2 on the left. And pull everything nice and tight. We'll keep doing this, making this strip a little bit longer. 2 15-0s going down through the 1 on the right and up through the 2 on the left. All right, so I have a strip of herringbone that is 18 rows in length. And once I've gotten to the end of that, I'm just going to fold this over and I'm going to sew back through that center Delica. This is going to turn this into a little loop. And I'm going to go up through the first 9 beads on the right. And pull that nice and tight and then flip that over. Then pick up a 15-0 And then sew through 2 of the Delicas on your bail, and they will be slightly offset, but try to get them as centered as you can. And then pull that down to your herringbone and pick up one more 15-0. Sew down through the 9 15-0 seed beads on the right of that herringbone, facing the front of the flower. So we're going down the next row to bring that all together. And then sew up through the next row of herringbone, pulling this all nice and tight. You can go through the 9 and then go through the single 15-0 that's right below the bail. And you can loop around the bail again to reinforce that section. I'm going to go down through that single 15-0 and through the start of the right hand side, the herringbone, and go back up the left hand herringbone. This is just one way to bring all this together. And I'm flipping my piece over and continuing down that row of herringbone. I like to reinforce this section since it's going to be the connection point for our beadwork. Then I'll head back through that center Delica and go up through all the beads on the other side of the herringbone stitch. And I'll probably go up through that single 15-0 and weave this a little bit more to the Delicas on the bail. Just like that. And now I'm just going to continue weaving my thread a little bit back and forth through the bail to secure the working thread. And then that's all we need to do for this pendant, and we can string it onto our colorful ribbon. Once again, you can find these individually at Beading School. They just launched a number of different colors for sale on their site, and you can find all these products in the Cherry Blossom Festival box. And there you have it. There is our floral pendant all finished and on the bail and also on our silk ribbon. Don't forget to check right down below the video for links to everything you'll need, as well as for the full list of materials and quantities. You can also find the link for the limited edition Cherry Blossom Festival box from Beading School to get in on this tutorial, as well as a few more to come. Or have fun creating a totally different colorway with the products from Beading School. They've got all of these different products in many different colors and finishes. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. A huge thank you to you all for being with me today. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this project, if you plan to give it a try or have given it a try. I always love to hear from you. Go ahead and give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here, and also share this tutorial with your other bead-loving friends. That's all I have for now, but until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.